Hello and welcome to Unabashed You, Mary Ann and Amy. I want to tell the listeners straight out of the gate that we are dear friends in real life and we get to do life together. And so I invited both of them to be a part of our New Year's Eve, like looking at 2024 and heading into 2025, some of the thoughts we have around that. Welcome, both of you, to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Excited to be
And they've both been on before. So this was very fun. This is very fun for me. Okay, well, let's just jump right in. What did you like about 2024?
Well, I'll step up and just say I was able to hit a life goal milestone, producing my book. So that was on my bucket list, and I think I put it on in 1981 or something.
Gosh.
So even though it took years to accomplish it in this year was very gratifying.
Well, and you didn't just produce it. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, you wrote it, you created it, you labored over it, you crafted it. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. Just, yeah, fantastic. And well, we got to hear the name of the book. You can't just say you wrote a book and not tell us the name.
Your Story for God's Glory, a Christian's Guide to Sharing Your Faith with Confidence, Clarity, and Impact.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, that's you hit a huge milestone, 30 plus years in the making, right? Am I doing my math right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What about you, Amy? What'd you like about 2024?
Think was that we did a lot of road trips this year. So just with family, we drove a lot and saw a lot of different things, and we usually fly for vacation. So I just felt like it was so special I feel like I saw and did a lot more with the time that we had, because a lot of it was spent driving. So I really enjoyed it, and I remembered how much I really love road trips.
Okay, that's good.
That's
sweet. And so
land and you're there in that one space, but when you drive, you're just going through like state after place after place. So yeah, it was really cool. I forgot what they were like.
You get to see a lot, right? Okay, now let's talk about maybe what we did not like so much about.
Well, do we get to ask you what
you can ask me? You can ask. Oh gosh, what did I like
about your answer?
What did I like about 2024? I think I liked feeling like the Unabashed You space is kind of I don't want to, it's not seamless or anything, but it's got a nice rhythm. And I think I really like that. The rhythm of, inviting guests and having conversations, and the rhythm of writing accompanying blogs, thoughts I had about some aspect of the conversation. I think being in that kind of flow, and we talk about that off camera, off recording, that the flow of things, I think that felt really good to me, being in that flow. So,
I think fixed joy comes from that too, because it's like you can really live in the moment when that flow is happening.
Right, exactly. All right, let's talk about what we didn't like about, because we gotta be real here. What did we not like?
Yeah. I'd say for me, even though how gratifying it is to publish a book, I often felt like I was drowning because I didn't anticipate how many facets are happening when you're doing that. It's not something I've done in the past. And so just the overwhelm, I think, of the process was a little daunting for me, and I wasn't loving that. But, it's nice. We now get to move beyond that.
Yes. And the first time you do anything, there's so many, as much as you think you know what's going to be involved, it's so much more than what you thought.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, Amy, what about you? What did you not like about 2024?
I was thinking about this. The thing that I didn't like is how fast it went.
Oh.
I felt like this year flew faster than any year I can ever remember.
Wow.
Like we just started, we're coming into New Year's already. Like it just went poof. And then I looked back and I did a lot, but I thought, gosh, how did it go that fast? So that's what for me was just like eye-opening of how incredibly fast it went.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wanted to slow down.
Right. And you are doing, you're still, raising a teenager, and you're working. I mean, you have so many things that you're doing that I'm not surprised when we're that busy, how quickly time goes. Not that Mary Ann and I aren't busy, but we're in different seasons
Yeah.
our life with grown kids and doing more of, I don't want to just say the creative side, but more of that aspect. Yeah, actually it is. It's a creative side. Absolutely. I will say what I did not like about 2024 was the political landscape. And by that, I'm not talking about, I'm just talking about how unkind, just the whole thing of being unkind, that was very, very, very hard. I dislike that immensely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
agree.
toyed with having that be my top thing is
Me
a
too.
lot of division and and unkindness happening as a
Right.
Mhm.
Now, did anything surprise you about this year that we just are, well, we're not quite done yet, but we're close. What did anything surprise you?
I think it's funny you said that because what I wrote down about what surprised me is how people are still so divided. Because like that division started during COVID. I mean, it's happened throughout history in our lives, but it started during that time and then it's just kept on. Like it hasn't stopped. And it just this what you were saying with the political year, it just again spewed its ugly head and just came out. It was just like, wow, how are we still, we're all human. Like
Right.
still going on. Why? I mean, haven't you realized yet that it's just not, it's just doesn't serve you? We're not serving each other. We're supposed to love each other and
Right, exactly.
disagree and be okay with it, you know?
Right, right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a very good point.
It just was that type of year.
What about you, Mary Ann? What surprised you?
Well, I'm going to actually go on that bandwagon a little bit too, but from another side, because we just even this week have family members reaching out to reconcile what they realized was just too divided.
Oh,
and so my hope and my prayer and what we seems like we're experiencing, at least in our immediate family, is maybe a little faster trip to reconciliation than I had anticipated. I thought it would take a lot longer, like need a year or 2 or 3 to pull out. And it's I'm just happy to say I've got several people who've written who were on the other side of whatever political side we were on, and extending that opportunity to open discussions and be a family, be a community, be a friendship again. And I just love that. So it's a happy surprise on that.
That's wonderful.
Front.
I love that.
That is a good surprise. That is a good surprise. For myself, I would say I was a little surprised with how it all landed. And then I was very surprised at how quickly I accepted the outcome and just felt like, God's gonna work this. So it really, how it turned out or didn't turn out or whatever, he is going to work in this. So my confidence, my trust, my faith resides in him and the work he is doing. And then I think also I was surprised at, just that sense of peace and the trust in knowing that God was at work. So that was like kind of a personal surprise in a way, because I just so sort of quickly pivoted to, okay.
Right, more people will take that mantle and go with it.
That epiphany.
Exactly. Did you learn something new this year? I mean, Mary Ann, you wrote a book, but did you learn something new, like a new anything that like technology wise or what have you?
Well, I mean, just the whole book process. I mean, you guys have heard me. I was just surprised but it was good to learn how many different kind of editors are involved in a book process, how many creatives it takes to pull that off. So I love how many people can come in and have a role in producing something that could have impact to others. And so I really like that and learned to work with several different types of people in that journey. Also made me aware that I need to learn Canva. It's a mighty app that probably majority of your listeners are already using, and it can be daunting, but I think it's one that's going to be important to learn. I saw many of my creatives that helped me be using it, and I could see it's such a useful tool. So I started this year learning it, and we'll take that into first quarter. It's one of my goals for 25 is to have a good sense of what that program can do and actually do it myself versus always
Yeah.
having
Oh, very good.
the
Excellent.
learning process started now, and it's going to
That to be continued heading into. Okay, what about you, Amy?
I learned a new form of exercise. Well, I've done it years ago, but I started doing Lagree this year and I love it.
Read. Okay. Tell, what is that?
As you guys know, I'm a Pilates instructor and I'm obsessed with Pilates, and I still do Pilates a lot, and teach Pilates. But Lagree is a form of exercise that the guy that created Sebastian Lagree, he took about 4 to 5 different types of exercise. So Pilates is one of them, but then he took like boot camp and weight training, and he created it and then created this form. So it's all in one. So it's 45 minutes of just you're dying and then it's over.
and you feel resurrected from that because you put 45 minutes in.
What I love about it is, yes, there's times in my class when just about when I think I'm going to die, she's like, and we're done. You can go for a session. I'm like, oh, I just thought I could keep going. You know? But it just, what it's done is just challenged me. I mean, because you go in and you have to concentrate and think so much about what she's saying. You're on a huge machine. It's called a megaformer. It's not a reformer like Pilates, but it's called a megaformer. It's huge and it's daunting. And sometimes when you hold on, you're like, this is too big. Like my arms can't get around it. Like, did they make this for men? But a man created it. But it's just amazing. And so every time there's, you know, when you work out, you guys might have this, you never want to go, but after you go, you come out and you're like, I did that. Every time I come out, like last night I came out, I'm like, I did that. I was tired and I went, I told Kevin, I survived. I did that.
Wow.
So it just feels very empowering and amazing to go, you know, I just turned 51 this year. So to be in there with, they're all young. I feel like they're all in their 20s or 19, and I might not look like I'm 51, you know, I can do it. The fact that I can go in there and do it with good form, it just feels good. And then I want more. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go back. But you can't do it every day because you would die. It's something you have to wait like twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. Pilates you could do every single day. I mean, it is recommended to do it every day, which is amazing. But
well, and I think as we go into the new year with this episode, I think a lot of listeners are going to be excited to learn about a new opportunity to really up their game and get more physical.
Yes.
Right. So Lagree is the name of it. And then are there studios? Do Pilates studios offer Lagree, or is it its own? I mean, I know it's its own thing, but do you go to a Lagree studio? How does that work?
So I go to define Lagree. I'm not trying to plug them or anything because I live in that area. But they are all over. They're all. So I originally took Lagree from another friend who was a Pilates instructor, and she taught Lagree years ago, like when Phoenix was born. So I want to say 12 years ago. And I liked it, but that back then it was hard. And I thought I was really fit back then, but I feel like I'm actually more fit now than I was 13 years ago. And that's always been my goal. I'm like, by the time I'm 60, I want to be the most fit I've ever been in my life. So I love doing challenging things that just, and not only, it's not just the body though, but it's the mind. It's amazing. And if you don't quit, that's why I was talking to the owner. She was like, you know, yeah, some girls come in and it's just so hard. They don't come back. And I'm like, but you have to go back. You really have to go do it so you can tackle that in your mind, right? That like, I can do this. I can do these hard things. And even if you just lay there during some of the moves, you're there, right? So.
Oh, well, and I can see that being a challenge for you and you really rising to that challenge and enjoying having accomplished it.
Yeah, I love it.
Let's see. For me, what question are we on? I'll learn. Mary Ann, I'm right with you on Canva. I had kind of played with it a bit in years past, but it was playing with other ones too. And now it's like, you know, if you can't do it on Canva, I don't know if you need to do it at all. That's kind of like, you know, kind of how I kind of came to, you know, land on that one and really have learned a lot, self-taught, and I'm sure I've barely scratched the surface. And then what would you say you enjoyed the most about 2025? 2024. We're not there yet. Okay. Last
Well-
question on 2024. What would you?
This year certainly went fast, as you have said, Amy, but it's the thing I most enjoyed is I was able to take a trip to Italy with my family. And it was our daughter had just finished studying abroad. And it's one of the few trips where we've traveled, with that distance and not been on a tour. And so it was fun to be with just my husband and daughter and the three of us, navigating trains, planes, buses, all of it. And thank you, Lord, for the train app, because that really helped. And the fact that our daughter could navigate it very seamlessly, but really created some fond memories to carry forward.
Oh, very good.
It was
I love
amazing.
hearing about it.
Yes. What about you, Amy? Was it back to your road trip or something different?
No, for me, it's my last year of homeschooling my baby boy. And I just love having him at home. So I'm just reveling in every moment I get to wake up and have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with him and just see him and hug him when he doesn't want me to hug him. And, I'm just so enjoying that time. And I know, gosh, I did get teary-eyed about it, but just thinking of, he's about to go into high school and he wants to go back into school, which is great. I mean, we completely encourage him for whatever decision he wants to make. But just the thought of like, well, he's not going to be here anymore. So I've just enjoyed that.
Right. You're treasuring it. You're
Yes, I'm treasuring every single minute and second of it.
That's excellent. I probably enjoyed, like Mary Ann, travel this year. I think probably the most. We too got to go to Italy. In fact, Mary Ann and I were there at the same time, but we were sort of in different areas, and so we
were trying to connect, and it didn't happen.
Trying to connect, but we were never going to be at the same place on the same day. So that was just fun knowing you were there, and so that was a fun trip. Really enjoyed it. We did do a tour. That's the first land tour we've ever done. So, I mean, it's like a job because you get up real early and you go, and nice and wonderfully tired at the end of the day. And then also we had a very rest-filled vacation in Hawaii, which in the fall, which was just really wonderful. Really enjoyed that. All right, let's start looking at 2025. Let's talk about how do you see it? And maybe you want to start with the word. It's so interesting. The three of us have our own little mini group, mini mastermind, whatever we want to call it. That's what I like to call it. Where we meet every couple months and we talk about goals and we share those goals and hold each other not just accountable, but also it's a time of encouragement, a time of inspiration, a time of sharing thoughts. And it's wonderful. And anybody out there, if you don't have that, you can create it. We created it ourselves. Okay, so let's start with our word and you guys were telling me your word, which motivated me to get my own word. So let's start with the words.
Right. Oh, okay. I'm up. So my word is amplify. And as I went to the dictionary, because as I think about the word of the year, I do like the concept and having a focal point, and I'll put it on a whiteboard and just kind of a place to come back to. And am I still embracing that and making progress toward it? And amplify from the dictionary says to make louder, increase, boost, step up, raise or expand the volume of something. And so I would like to now just really step into more and embrace more my mission in life, which is to help people tell their story better and more effectively. And so I want to amplify that message that we all have a story that is worth sharing, that can ignite hope and faith and encouragement in others. And so I want to amplify that message and come alongside and help people as much as I can.
That's wonderful. And Amy and I have both been on the receiving end of your expertise, and it's I mean, I want to say it's life-changing, and that sounds so big and it sounds so dramatic, but it's true. It's true, because when you can take a little part of your life, a chapter of your life, and put it into a structure that's really effective, and you're telling it, you're sharing it. You're right. It's an opportunity for those who are listening to be inspired, to be encouraged. And you're right. Everybody does have a story.
Yeah. And because I strongly believe that God's guiding our stories and helping us to tell them most effectively, that what I share just helps come alongside and get people ready to really have to listen to the Holy Spirit and to God's guidance in however that appears to them, and be able to embrace that as part of the process.
Love that. Okay, what about you, Amy? What's your word?
Oh, cool. So my word this year is alive. Come alive in 2025.
It rhymes.
I know. I was journaling one night, and actually I was writing a prayer to God, and it was the week before Thanksgiving. It was the last class I had taught of Pilates before we went on break. And I was just writing, a prayer of how I was going to be used and what, just all these things. I have the prayer in my book, and all of a sudden I just felt like God spoke to me and said, you need to come alive in 25. Like, you need to live out this vision that I've given you, because he gave me a vision in 2013. And so now we're going into 2025. And so I feel like it's like, you need to live it out. And part of my prayer was like, you need to show me, like, what am I doing? And so I just feel like alive in all the things and the talents and the gifts that God has blessed me with. It's time to share that and come alive and help other people come alive. And that's how I feel when I'm teaching. I just come alive. Like I always say, like, I would do it for free, because that's how much I love it. It just filled me up. Like, I'm so passionate about it. And I know that my students feel it because they give me feedback all the time. And I mean, they're just the sweetest. And so I just know that I have that gift, but I need to have it come alive.
Right.
To the surface, and it needs to be in a program. It needs to get out there.
And I completely agree. Of course, we know each other on a personal level. And so I understand your passion and how you're channeling that into purpose, and how it does fill you up when you talk about it. You're already a radiant individual, and you just like sparkle. You just shine when you're talking about it. So how exciting that we've got Amplify, we've got Alive, Come Alive. And so when you were, we didn't even say, okay, let's all pick a word. It just sort of happened. And then when I heard you two, oh my gosh, they've picked a word. Maybe I should pick a word. And oh, Mary Ann's is Amplify in 25. And Amy's is Alive in 25. And so I thought, I think I need to do something that, I mean, in my own brain, I was thinking it needed to rhyme. I was thinking it needed to start with an A, right? Because that's the teacher in me. And then I feel like God, he just said, this is what I felt in my heart: abide in me. So it was interesting to me that it started with an A, and it kind of rhymed. And so but I feel like for me, 25 is going to be a big year in like of ups and downs. I sort of am anticipating that. I've got some ill family members. My father was just diagnosed with cancer. And so there are these things that are happening around me that might result in some lows. And at the same time, like Mary Ann, I'm republishing a book that I wrote some years ago, and I want to really work on that some more and put that out there. Standing Tall, a collection of hope, where you're tracing the hand of God to really look at the gifts that God gives you after the hard time, and even during, but really, you see it better, a little farther down the road. So that became my word, because I feel like God is telling me, you're going to need to abide in me this year. You're going to really need to be close and abide in me. And so I've written it on this little piece of yellow paper, and I have it in with my pen. So I see it every day when I go to have my morning time. I see it, and it's like, yes, that's right. That's right. Abide. So thank you, ladies.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for.
I do too. It's going to be a great year.
Yes. So goals for this year then? Do we have goals, either personal or creative? Or, I mean, we've sort of talked about it, but have you kind of specified anything in terms of goals?
Have anything, Amy?
I do. I don't know how personal I can get about it. I work a very corporate job and run a business for myself, as you ladies know. And I would like to do less of that and more into my purpose and calling. So that's my number one thing that I wrote down, less of that, and launch my Pilates business slash ministry. I really see part of it as a ministry. And so this has been so on my heart for so long. I'm just ready to do that. So if I bring in more of that and the thing that brings me alive instead of the thing that sucks the life out of me, I think I'll be more alive.
Yeah, I think so too.
Writing down, like, how can I get more alive? Oh, I need to get rid of some of the things that are sucking the life. Number one, corporate America.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine a lot of you listeners are going to relate to that.
Yes, yes. And then you've been in a season of sort of having to, we have seasons where we sort of have to do things that we would not be first on our list.
Right. Yeah. And with that, yeah, I had written down about part of how we talked about what you didn't like was that, I realized in a corporate setting, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners can relate, and it seems to be the theme with a lot of my girlfriends who are still working, right? It's that in this day and age, the corporation just tries to suck every single last breath out of you. No, it's true. And it's so common because I thought, wow, when you talk to so many people and they're just exhausted and the work never stops and it just keeps coming. And so my joke is always like, where's AI? When are they taking over? Because they're trying to work us like robots. We can't sleep, we can't eat, we're always available on our phone, right? You're always available. It's just exhausting. And I see it in every realm and all different types of professions. It's fascinating to me that in this last year, I saw that in so many different facets of business in the business world. And I thought, something's got to give. I mean, people can't keep going like that. So for myself, I need to not die and come alive.
Oh, that is,
That's
you have such a humorous way of, sharing something that, you're right. The way you're talking about the fact that you don't want to be doing that. You have a humorous way of looking at it and a good attitude. And I think Mary and I both feel confident that it's going to unfold and it's going to happen.
It may happen sooner than later.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I was reminded of the saying of, do you know the definition of an overnight success? Someone who's put 10 years behind it.
Yes.
Or 20. Because we've all three, I think, can relate to that because we've really been on this journey for many, many years to get where we are living out the passions that we have in our hearts and looking for ways to serve others, but also to support our families in the ways they need to be supported. And so for me, the big shift and the big goal for me is I have mainly given away everything I do because I had a corporate job. And so all my coaching and helping people with stories was done in my spare time. But I'd like to, now that I'm retiring officially from the corporate world, shift that into creating a business plan that allows me to serve people well, the process that it takes to do that, support them well, and to grow myself and the business in a way that can sustain it. And so there's, some trade-offs that'll have to happen in that, but I think getting a plan together and starting to work the plan, adjustments can always come from that. But I'm putting the plan on paper in a strategic way. I have to do that in the corporate environment all the time.
Right.
So anyways, that's my big thing is to get a plan on paper. So ladies, you can hold me accountable to that and we'll see what happens.
We will.
And I do think it's fascinating how you just said, like, you did it for corporate. Like, we do so many things for our corporate job that we don't do ours because we're too exhausted.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to look at another computer. I don't want to look at another spreadsheet, but This is our baby and our dream and our desire and our passion.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to pull out that time to make it happen. That's why I love that we carved this time out today, because just doing this made me realize what's so important.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Doing this.
I would say for me, my top goal would be to really kind of put together, using Mary Ann's wonderful structure and guidance and all of her, have learned so much from you, Mary Ann, to really take that and to get a couple different versions of a presentation and turn it into some kind of a workshop that I could then offer to women's groups around churches, what have you, to really, it's that gifts after loss. I mean, I know how many gifts I got after loss. I'm not talking about tangible presents. I'm talking about the ways that God blessed us through his grace, and the way that that impacted and completely informed our family and then family friends. I mean, I'm that's one of my areas that I just love and am very passionate about. So I want to put that together and really, put it out there and see what happens. See what happens.
And you're such
You
a great
will.
teacher.
Yes.
Oh, I miss teaching. I really do.
So good at it. I mean, it really is it's natural. It's one of your natural
It's
talents.
a gifting for sure.
It's definitely a gift that you have. So I see that these workshops would be great. And so do that.
Okay, so I'm going to plant the seed. Listeners, write her a note and let her know if you think you'd like to hear her teach.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be good.
Yeah.
Okay, and I wanted to ask if there, because I thought this was an interesting question as I was researching and coming up with different things to ask you both. Who do you want to get to know better this year?
I wrote down, I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah.
No, I can't think of any except for my husband, maybe. Now that you said that, I'm like, maybe my husband, because
You looked down and saw my answer.
no, I didn't. Is that what you wrote down?
Yes.
Oh,
Mary Ann, did you really write that down? Because I'm going to say Ron also.
no, I did not say that. I just thought when I wrote down, I don't know how, but then I thought about it and I thought, when you're raising kids, we're like sometimes sails in the wind, and we've been trying to be intentional lately and having date nights and just talking. But I told my husband just last week, I said, we need more of that. We need more time with just us, where we can sit and talk and just get to know each other again. Like, outside of parenting and living and working and raising, just family. I know you girls have been married for so long that that's just, sometimes you're just doing life, right? Without being intentional about spending time together. So yeah, I guess that is my answer.
Okay. And Mary Ann?
Yeah, I thought that too. And I think, like you're saying, Amy, life gets busy, and especially because you ladies know the last year, especially, but even really the last 3 years have been so intense for me, getting this book published, ending my corporate career, doing some helping our daughter off to college, all those things that life, is part of life. I feel like we've almost become strangers. We just haven't really spent that much time together. And he's such a cool guy that I'm like, I need to reconnect with my husband. And I want to get to know him better again, because even though we've been together over 25 years, the idea is that we're both evolving. And I might be losing sight of how he's evolved because I'm so focused on how I'm evolving. And so I'm thinking really it might be.
Wow, it's you.
Just
Plato. A philosopher over here.
I don't know, that just popped in my head.
That's so good.
But it's, I think, because same with all our family members, that I think husbands, and wives, we can take each other for granted a little bit, that's the status and it's okay. And he's been very supportive, but it's time to integrate that again and to look at how much fun we can have, especially this next season. 25 is I just feel like it's going to be a wonderful year.
A good year. Yeah.
Good.
I want to make sure he's along with me.
Yes. And I would agree with you completely with the answer, husband. And just for the very reasons that you both have pointed out. Absolutely. Just 100% ditto. Yes. Very good. Now, I think I want to end this with, we talked about giving 3 words for each other,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go alphabetically. Let's start with Amy. Mary Ann, what are your words for Amy?
Passionate, which I think your listeners heard the depth of her passion. She's so excited. I love it. And she puts everything into what you do. And this next word, effervescent.
Oh, good.
I mean, Joy almost just didn't do it enough.
Right. Yes.
You
Yes.
walk in the room and your smile and it's contagious. And Momma-bear. I realize it's 2 words, but I'm gonna mush
No,
them.
that's fine. That's
Momma-bear.
fine. Momma-bear.
Queen
Oh,
Momma-bear. And boy, Phoenix is lucky.
Oh, thank you.
oh man. Okay, so good. I'm writing these down as we go because I don't want to forget them. Okay, for me, when it comes to Amy, I would say dynamic, very dynamic, devoted, and soul filled. Soul filled. You are your faith is never far from you at all, and that comes across in the way you show up in your life.
True.
Those are my 3 words.
Mhm.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, well, let's Mary Ann. We're going alphabetically. Mary Ann's turn. Do you want to do Mary Ann, Amy?
Sure. I wrote down energetic and filled with joy, because I feel like the same thing when you walk in, you're just so joy filled and you're always ready for an adventure and you're just ready to go. Like you just don't complain.
Not too shabby for 67.
Yes. I mean, I would not know you're 67 if you didn't say that, because we're like best buds and you can keep up.
Oh,
You're walking faster than I am at the time. And just so filled with joy, and then punctual. That's my other thing.
It's so funny.
Always on time. Like she's punctual, she's on time. You can count on her, so I guess the thanks was the word for count on. But I punctual and on time. Just reliable, yes.
At my old job,
Reliable.
they used to have, because we're all trainers and we would have to show up at these different
You were
locations.
the reliable one?
No, what they would say is, if you don't see Mary Ann, you know you're at the wrong place.
Yeah. Yes, you're reliable. That's the word. And the other thing is creative. I just think you're so creative. I mean, the way that you wrote the book and all the time you put into it, and I love your brain of, like you said, you're 67. That you're just constantly looking for something new. Like you want to learn Canva. I don't want to learn Canva. I'm like, oh, like daunting. And just you're willing and you're listening to all these things on how you can do technology and YouTube. And I just think it's beautiful. Like very creative. Like you get it going and you want to continue it. And I think that's beautiful. So,
Okay, so Amy, your words for Mary Ann were energetic, joy-filled, and then was your third one reliable or punctual or creative? Which one?
So it was energetic.
Uh-huh.
Vivacious. Punctual. No, that would be reliable. So energetic, reliable, and creative.
Okay, got it. Okay, I wrote down some other words. Okay, yes, and I agree wholeheartedly with those words in the beginning of the picture that they paint. And I would say intentional. Mary Ann, you're very intentional in all aspects of your life. I mean, you're I'm not using the word deliberate as one of my words, but there's a deliberateness, an intentionality, or whatever grammar is necessary in that sentence. And you're focused. Man, that focus that you have is so inspiring and sometimes mind-boggling, how you can make things happen because you're so focused. And then the other thing that came to mind was, Mary Ann, you're one of the kindest people I have ever met. Truly, you are so kind. I mean, no matter who the person is you're in contact with or whatever, there's that same warmth and that same kindness, no matter who they are, no matter the situation. So yeah, I completely, yeah, I concur.
Thank you.
Isn't that fun? Just 3 words.
I love that. Now we need your 3 words.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. I'll start off with brave.
Ooh.
You go after
Yeah.
new territory all the time. And it takes some bravery to, navigate the risks, navigate the uncertainties. And so I feel like you are a brave soul. Authentic, always true to who you are, but with kindness, but always show up as yourself. And I love that. And wisdom, boy, you're
Aw.
to discern different perspectives and see the wisdom in things and share that wisdom in a practical way is just thank you.
Isn't this a great exercise? It's so filling.
Every month at our mastermind.
Now, let's start doing that. Let's start doing that. Okay.
So Rechelle, for me, for you, the number one that came to mind was loyal. I think you're such a loyal friend. And I feel like you'll be there through the thick and thin, no matter what differences, whatever, you're just a loyal, steady Eddie friend. You're gonna be there till the end. And even with your family, you're just such a good stand-up, loyal mom and sister and daughter and just all of it. Just so loyal. And I love that about you. The other thing is adventurous and creative, which goes with, you're just the fact that you retired and then you jumped into this podcast thing where you didn't know what you were doing and you had this goal of getting to 200 and now you surpassed that. Now you got the 5-year mark. I mean, it's just beautiful. And that's a huge adventure.
Yeah.
And you did it. And I love how you always say, well, you just do it afraid. It's not like you didn't have fear or this judgment, all the things you were just like, just do it anyway. And so such an adventurous person, like I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna jump off the cliff and just see what happens. So I just love that about you. I think it's beautiful. And the other one I wrote down is organized.
Oh,
that's the teacher. I love how organized you always are, and especially on your computer. You're always typing in what we're saying and making I just think that's great because my brain doesn't work that way. I mean, I'm organized in different areas, but not computer wise and notes wise. And that's why you're an amazing teacher. Because you're very organized with the structure of how things are going to go with the class or with this podcast. So definitely you're organized very beautifully.
Oh, wow, what a love fest this has been, right? So wonderful. Is there anything either one of you want to say in conclusion? I feel like, my day could be over right now and I would just like, float away to whatever the next thing is. I feel so filled. That's what I feel.
No, it's great to get to know our friends at this deep level or each other. And I would just encourage people who are listening to reach out to a couple of close friends and do this as well, because just for us to live out a stronger connections with our friends and family, these are different things we can do. And you always provide wonderful questions and thought-provoking ideas, Rechelle, on this. Yes. And so I just encourage people to not just listen in on 3 friends who got to share some ideas, but to take those and share them with 3 other friends.
Yes, absolutely. And again, back to your intention, like you're now inspiring other people to do the same. Like, come on, this is, I mean, we just decided to do it and we do it. And we've been doing it now for what, like close to 3 years, right?
Yeah. I was looking back at some of my notes and they were going back to, 3 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, so wonderful. Where can people find you? Where do you want to be found?
Well, I would love to be found. This is Mary Ann. Yeah, I'd love to be found so that you can find my book. And so Mary Ann at kingdompresenters with an S.com.
Okay, and spell Mary Ann because unbelievably there's more than one way to spell it.
MaryanN, no E, at kingdompresenters.com.
Yeah, I think that's important because,
You're right. It's often spelled M-A-R-I-E, and it's not. It's M-A-R-Y-A-N-N. It's like so 2 names. Hopefully be in the show notes, so that's okay. Yeah.
Yes. And Amy, do you want to be found?
Not yet.
Okay,
2020,
yeah.
I'm coming alive, so you can find me then.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And obviously, listeners, you can find me at unabashedyou.com, where these ladies, you can visit their past episodes with me and past conversations we've had. And if you have any questions you want to reach out with, any inspiration you might need about starting your own mini mastermind, you just let me know.
Yeah.
And we'll get you motivated and up and going. What were you saying, Amy?
I highly recommend it.
Yes, it's
But
been incredible.
and just lift you up and listen to your ideas, your
Mhm.
crazy, wild ideas, and then support you in them.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you both. You are so dear to me, and I'm very grateful for our connection, our love for one another, our friendship and faith, and getting to do life with you both.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Rechelle.
Rechelle.
Love you.
Appreciate you. Love you.
You too.